Hello, welcome to this chess lesson. In this video, I'll be showing one of my own games, and I feel this game has a great instructional value to it. So in this game, I played as the black pieces, so I'm going to flip the board around. Now, my opponent started with knight to f3, and I responded with knight to f6. And he played d3. I didn't like this very much because I feel that if you're playing as the white pieces, that since you have the first move, you should try to take initiative and try to put pressure on your opponent. And I don't feel that that move does that. And so I say to myself, if he wants to play passively, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to take control of the center. So I played d5. Then here he played h3. And I disliked this move as well because he's playing on the side too much. This move doesn't really impact the center, and during the opening, that's one of the most important things to do. Control the center. I played c5, trying to influence d4. He played c3, and I played knight to c6. Then he played bishop to g5, and I played e5. Now I have three pawns all trying to control the center, and yeah, when I played e5, that did allow this pin to exist now. But I'm not really too concerned about that. I'm just concerned about grabbing the center. So queen to c2, and then I played bishop to d6, developing a piece and allowing castling should I choose. Then he played e4, trying to strike at the center. And here, I didn't take this pawn here because if I were to take, then that would allow his d-pawn to take, and now that would free up his bishop to move to an active diagonal, and in addition, it's like I traded my d5 pawn, which was helping to control the center, for his d3 pawn, which was blocking in one of his pieces, and was somewhat passively placed, not really affecting the center. So I didn't do that, and if we go back to e4, I played d4, trying to gain a space advantage. Then here he played bishop to e2, I castled, he played knight b to d2, then I played b5, grabbing some more space on the queen side, played a3, then I played a5. He castled kingside, and I played bishop to e6. Now he plays c4, and then I went ahead and played b4. And then this is continuing my plan to try to gain more space, because now I have two pawns that have crossed over onto his half of the board. And that gains me a little bit more space than him, and will give me some more space to operate around it. He plays a4, and I play bishop to e7. My idea was that I wanted to break this pin and maybe try to move this knight and then exchange off the dark squared bishops, since all of my pawns are on dark squares. So if I could try to exchange off this bishop for his, that would be a good positional move for me, since, as Lisa Simpson says, a blockaded bishop is of little value. So if I could get rid of that bishop, it'd be good for my position. Here he played knight to b3, I played knight to d7, and he was nice enough to play bishop takes e7, trading his good bishop for my bad one. And now he's left with a bad bishop. So we can tell that he hasn't been watching The Simpsons, otherwise that he would know that this bishop is a bad bishop because it is blockaded. King h2, and I play f5, trying to gain more space. Plays knight f to d2, and I play f4, now crossing a third pawn over onto his half of the board. Bishop f3, and here I play g5. Yes, I'm advancing pawns in front of my king. Usually that's a bad idea, but with the center blocked up by all of these pawns, I don't really think that my king is in any danger of being attacked anytime soon, and this move will help me to gain space, so I feel that it was a good choice. And he plays g4, and I play king to f7. If you ever read Jeremy Silman books, he's always talking about cat and mouse. And so with that idea of playing cat and mouse, I see that my opponent really doesn't have much to do and is more or less so helpless. So I decide there's no need to rush, and then I'm just going to slowly make my position better. And then once all of my pieces are optimally placed, I'll start trying to open up the position on the king side, and then if my pieces are well enough placed for that, it will limit his options for counterplay. So I'm going to slowly march my king all the way over to b6, where he'll be fairly safe for when things start to open up on the king side. Rook g1, king e8, king g2, king d8, king f1, king c7, king e2, king to b6, knight f1, rook h8, knight bd2, rook ag8. Now I have both of my rooks placed on these files, so that when things start opening up on here, they'll already be over here. Rook e1, h5, king d1, h takes g4, h takes g4, knight f6, rook g2, rook h4. Now I have 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking this pawn, and he only has 1, 2 pieces defending it. So I am going to win a pawn here. Bishop e2, knight takes g4. Now this will allow him to have the option of exchanging off his bad bishop for my knight, but I'll win a pawn. Since I win a pawn, I really don't care about that though. And my goal is to create a passed pawn, which will be hard for him to stop since his pieces are relatively bottled up. So bishop takes g4, bishop takes g4 check, f3, bishop h3, rook f2, g4, takes g4, bishop takes g4 check, king c1, queen to h7. And now notice that I've moved all of my pieces so that they're taking control of the only 2 completely open files. King b1, knight to b8. My goal of this move is I'm going to slowly bring this knight over to this side of the board, where he'll be more useful, since right here he's really not doing too much. It'll be a slow process, but that's what chess moves are for. Make the moves so that you improve your position. So if it takes time, doesn't matter. If that knight gets to the best square that it could possibly be on, even if it takes time, it's worth it. Knight to f3. Bishop takes f3. In this type of position, I usually prefer a knight to a bishop. I know some people agree with me on that. I know some people prefer bishops no matter what, but this is what I like anyways. Rook takes f3, knight d7, king to a2, knight to f6, rook e2, knight g4, queen d2, rook h3, rook takes h3, queen takes h3, knight h2, and knight to e3, a well-posted knight, reaching deep into my opponent's position. A knight posted this much into your opponent's position is really powerful. It's usually worth about a rook, and some people will even exchange their rooks for your knight just to get rid of it because of how much it's entrenching itself in their position. King to b3 and f3. Trying to push my passed pawn like I had mentioned earlier. And right here, there is actually a little mistake that I had made. I had just kept wanting to push this pawn and create threats of queening it, because that had been my goal for a while. But here, Stockfish showed me that instead of playing f3, I could have played knight takes c4, because the pawn can't capture due to this pin along the file here, and the king can't capture the knight because that would allow queen to e6 checkmate. Usually you don't want to allow your opponent to checkmate you, so probably wouldn't have captured. So anyways, f3, then rook to f2, blocking the pawn, and then rook to g2, trying to take control in front of the square, in front of the pawn. And here, my opponent actually timed out, so I didn't get to finish the game. But Stockfish evaluates this game at minus 6.77, so I'm fairly certain that I was going to win. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this game, and I hope that you're able to take something away from it. Thanks for watching.